The night I found the cut electrical line behind my barn, I thought it was just vandalism. But the moment I saw the tall man in the long coat standing between my apple trees, watching my house like he was waiting for me to step outside, I knew something far darker had begun. And it all started only hours after my own son demanded that I sign away the orchard my husband and I built from nothing. He said I was too old to manage it. He left angry. But the stranger who came after midnight, he wasn't angry, he was hunting. And when I discovered the hidden chest, my late husband buried beneath the barn floor, filled with secret letters, warnings, and the truth about $7 million missing dollars, I finally understood my husband died protecting something, and now they wanted it from me. Before I tell you what happened next, let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Linda Marlowe, and at 63, I thought the worst storms of my life were finally behind me. Losing my husband Tom 3 winters ago had taken something from me I'll never get back. But Maple Hollow Orchard, our old apple farm tucked between the Pennsylvania hills, was still mine. Still home. Still the one place where I could breathe without feeling like the world was trying to push me out of it. At least that's what I believed. Until the night my own son tried to take it from me. It started on a warm Friday afternoon, the kind where the wind smelled like cut grass, and the apple trees were just beginning to bloom tiny white petals, clinging to branches like soft promises. Jason showed up unannounced, parking his glossy black truck right beside the barn like he owned the place. His wife, Brooke, stepped out behind him in heels far too high for a farm wearing sunglasses, even though the sky was cloudy. That should have been my first warning. "Mom, we need to talk." Jason said, his hands shoved in his pockets. He didn't hug me, didn't even smile. Brooke crossed her arms like she was there to supervise something. I wiped my palms on my apron. "Is everything all right?" Jason glanced at Brooke before answering. "We think it's time you let go of this place." I blinked. "Let go, Jason. Your father and I built this farm from nothing." "What are you talking about?" Brooke jumped in before he could answer. "What Jason is trying to say is you can't manage this orchard alone, and the land is worth a lot. Developers are offering real money, Linda." She called me Linda, not Mom, not Mrs. Marlowe, just Linda, like I was some stranger she had to tolerate. Jason finally pulled a stack of papers from his jacket. "We already talked to a realtor. We just need your signature." My heart dropped hard. You already made plans." "No," he said too fast. "We just explored options." Brooke smirked. "Options that won't be available forever." A beat of silence stretched between us. The apple trees rustled softly, like they were listening. "I'm not signing anything," I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it was steady, stronger than I felt. Jason's jaw clenched. "Mom, don't make this difficult." "I'm not the one making it difficult," I whispered. Brooke rolled her eyes dramatically. "Jason, we're wasting time. She clearly doesn't understand what's best." For a moment, I saw something cruel flash in her eyes, something that made my spine prickle. Jason sighed, stuffed the papers back into his jacket, and muttered, "You'll regret this." Then they left. Just like that, no goodbye, no hug, nothing but the flick of Brooke's hair as she climbed into the truck and slammed the door. I stood there in the gravel driveway long after they disappeared down the road, my apron fluttering in the wind. I didn't know it yet, but that conversation was only the first crack in the ground beneath my feet, because that same night, something happened that pulled the rug out from under my life entirely. Around midnight, the power went out. It wasn't a normal outage. No storm, no lightning, no flicker beforehand. 1 second, the living room lamp glowed warm and soft, and the next, darkness swallowed the house whole. I grabbed a flashlight and headed toward the basement, thinking maybe the breaker had tripped. But the moment I opened the back door leading toward the barn, I stopped cold. Someone had cut the main electrical line. Not torn, not chewed by animals. Cut, clean, deliberate. My breath caught. The hair on my arms rose. The orchard was quiet, too quiet, except for the faint crunch of gravel somewhere near the fence line. Someone was out there. I killed the flashlight instantly. My heart hammered so loudly, it felt like anyone could hear it. I waited, pressing myself against the doorframe, listening. At first, I thought it was a deer or raccoon, but then I saw it a silhouette near the apple trees. Tall, broad-shouldered, moving slowly like he was searching for something or someone. I held my breath until he disappeared into the dark. When I finally dared to breathe again, I backed into the kitchen, locking every door, sliding every bolt. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the table with a mug of cold tea, listening to every creak of the old farmhouse, wondering what that man wanted and why he was on my land. The next morning, sunlight didn't make me feel any safer, because as I walked toward the barn to check the damage, something caught my eye, something I hadn't seen before. A board on the barn floor was slightly raised, just a hair higher than the rest, like it had been moved recently. I knelt, pressed my hand against it, and felt a hollow space beneath. My pulse quickened. A hidden compartment, one I'd never known existed, in a barn my husband had spent years repairing. With shaking fingers, I pried the board loose. Beneath it, wrapped in an old quilt, was a small wooden chest, dark heavy, and locked with a tarnished silver key still hanging from a ribbon. My late husband, Tom, had hidden this. But why? And did it have anything to do with the man who prowled my orchard the night before? Before I could even process it, dust swirled in the sunlight as my hands trembled. Whatever Tom had left behind was something someone else desperately wanted, and I was standing right on top of it. Before I tell you what I found inside that chest, let me ask you something. If your own child demanded your home, and then a stranger appeared on your land at night, would you stay calm or run for help? If you think what Jason and Brooke did was wrong, type 10. So I can see how many of you agree. I didn't open the chest right away. I know that sounds strange, but when something shakes the foundation of your life, your child betrays you, a stranger prowls around your house, and then you find a secret your husband took to the grave. Your hands don't work the way they're supposed to. They tremble, they sweat, they hesitate. So I carried the chest inside, placed it on the kitchen table, and just stared at it. The silver key hanging from the ribbon felt cold when I touched it, like it had been waiting for me, waiting for years. When I finally unlocked the chest, the latch clicked with a sound so sharp it sent a shiver down my spine. Inside were 3 things. 1. A stack of letters wrapped with twine. 2. A small leather-bound notebook. 3. A sealed envelope with my name on it, Linda written in Tom's handwriting. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. My fingers went straight for the envelope, tearing it open with a fear I didn't fully understand. Inside was a single page. If you're reading this, Linda, it means I didn't have time to tell you the truth. The orchard is not safe, and the money they're looking for is not here, not anymore. Whatever happens, trust no one but Keller. With all my love, Tom. Money. What money? I read the letter again, slower this time, letting every word sink like a stone in my stomach. The orchard is not safe. The money they're looking for. Trust no one but Keller. Keller. David Keller, the family lawyer. The same man Jason told me I didn't need to see anymore because things should stay in the family. My pulse quickened. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. I grabbed the notebook next. It was Tom's handwriting again, neat, but rushed in some pages, almost frantic in others. The entries painted a picture I never expected Tom had been helping the Pierce couple, Harold and Margaret, friends I barely remembered from decades ago. Harold had discovered accounting fraud inside his company. The fraud tied back to Victor Kane's criminal network. Someone threatened Harold and Margaret, and then they died in an accident on the New Jersey coast. Tom suspected they weren't dead, and before anything happened to him, he moved $7 million into a protected legal trust, a trust in my name. My palms went cold. I pulled the stack of letters closer, untying the twine. Every letter was addressed to Tom from Harold or Margaret, written over months. They described fear-hiding coded messages, and finally, if something happens, the orchard is no longer safe. Tell Linda to keep the key with her at all times. M. I stared at that line for a long time. What key, the silver one, or something else? Before I could piece it together, gravel crunched outside. My heart slammed against my ribs. Not again. I peeked through the kitchen curtains, careful not to move them too much. A dark SUV different from the one last night parked in front of the barn. A tall man stepped out wearing a long coat despite the warm weather. He looked around, scanning the property with the cold precision of someone who had done this many times before. He wasn't lost. He wasn't visiting. He was searching. And then he turned his head, directly toward the house. I dropped the curtain. My body shook uncontrollably, not from fear alone, but from anger. I was 63, widowed, exhausted, and deeply betrayed. But I refused to be hunted like prey on my own land. I grabbed my phone and dialed David Keller immediately. "Linda," he answered, his voice groggy, like I'd woken him. "It's early. Is everything all right?" "No," I whispered. "David." Tom left me a letter and a notebook. "Someone's been coming to the orchard at night. They cut the power. And someone is here again." David's tone changed instantly, sharp alert. "Don't go outside," he said. "Stay where you are. I'm getting in my car now. Lock the doors." "I already did," I said, pacing the kitchen. "David, what did Tom get involved in?" Silence. "David," I repeated, my throat tightening. "I'll explain when I get there," he finally said. "But Linda, listen to me carefully. If Victor Kane or anyone connected to him shows up, do not speak to them. Do not open the door. Do not answer questions. Just wait for me." My stomach dropped. "David, is this about money?" He paused. "Not the kind you think." The line went dead. I stood still, the phone hanging from my shaking hand. My reflection in the window looked like a stranger, a woman forced into a story she never asked to be part of. Outside, the man in the coat walked slowly along the fence, dragging his hand over the wood, as if feeling for something hidden beneath. He stopped right where the electrical line had been cut, bent down, examined it. Then he looked toward the house again and smiled. A slow, chilling smile that told me exactly what I had feared. He was here for me. I backed away from the window, clutching Tom's notebook against my chest. Somewhere in all of this, my husband had tried to protect me. And somewhere out there, someone wanted to finish what they started with him. Before I tell you what happened when David finally arrived, let me ask you, if you saw a stranger searching your property like that, would you confront them or hide? If you'd avoid them at all costs, type 10. David arrived 20 minutes later, tires skidding across the gravel as he pulled into the driveway. I watched from the window, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear anything else. The man in the long coat was gone, vanished between the trees, as if he had never been there at all. David rushed toward the porch. Linda opened the door. I unlocked it quickly, and he stepped inside, locking it again behind him. "You saw him, right?" I whispered. The man outside David nodded grimly. "I saw the SUV parked half a mile down the road. Someone was watching your property. I don't like this." I felt my legs weaken. "David, what's going on? What did Tom get tangled in?" David didn't answer immediately. He walked toward the kitchen table, where the chest and Tom's notebook still sat. "This," he said softly, "is exactly what I hoped would never resurface." I swallowed. "Just tell me." He exhaled deeply. "Years ago, Tom came to me with evidence, financial documents, testimonies, letters from Harold and Margaret Pierce. They uncovered a massive laundering scheme connected to Victor Kane. They thought they could expose it. But once Victor got wind of it, they were marked. All three of them." I clenched the back of a chair. "So the Pierces didn't die?" "No," David said. "They faked their deaths with my help. They escaped overseas. They're alive, Linda. They're in Portugal." My breath caught. "And the trust I asked. The $7 million, David hesitated. "It was meant for you. Tom wanted you protected. If anything happened to him, that money was supposed to keep you safe. So why don't I have it?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Because David said someone else got to it first." My knees buckled and I had to sit down. "Who?" He swallowed hard. "Jason." A cold wave rolled through me, sharp, devastating, unbelievable, and yet somehow not surprising at all. "Jason," I whispered. My own son David nodded. 2 years after Tom's death, he came to me demanding information. He was furious, said you didn't deserve the orchard, didn't deserve anything Tom left behind. I refused to tell him anything. A week later, the trust had been breached. Someone used Tom's old credentials. Someone who knew enough to fake verification. I covered my mouth. Tears blurred my vision. He stole it, David whispered. Every last dollar. My heart broke, not just cracked, but truly shattered. Because losing money is one thing, but losing respect for your own child is a wound that never heals right. Before I could speak, David placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. That's why Cain wants the orchard. He thinks the money is still hidden here. He thinks Tom left it somewhere on this land. But Jason knows there's no money, I said. Yes, David said, but Cain doesn't. I stood wiping my tears. So what do? David straightened. We finish what Tom started. We take all this, he tapped the notebook, the letters, the evidence, and we go to the FBI. A knock thundered against the door. We both froze. 3 loud, slow knocks. David motioned for me to stay back and peered through the tiny window beside the door. His face turned white. It's him, David whispered. Cain. My blood turned to ice. The knock came again, quieter this time, almost patient. Linda, a voice called deep and terrifyingly calm. I think you and I should talk. I shook my head violently. David silently gestured for me to move toward the back of the house, but instead of leaving, he reached into his coat and pulled out a badge. FBI. I stared. David, you're yes. I'm an attorney when I need to be, he whispered, but I'm also a federal agent, and now we have enough to finally bring Cain down. He motioned for me to stay behind him, then opened the door just a crack. Cain, David said, voice firm. Step away from the porch. But Cain smiled a slow, perfect smile that chilled me to my core. You think you can stop what's coming, he said. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Cain's smile faded. He backed up slowly, hands raised, but the anger in his eyes was a promise. You're making a mistake, David, he growled. And you, Linda, Tom should have told you to stay out of things you don't understand. FBI vehicles screeched into the driveway, agents swarming. Within seconds, Cain was handcuffed and shoved into a black SUV. Just like that. Over. But inside, I felt anything but relieved. I collapsed into a chair, shaking. David knelt beside me. He can't hurt you anymore, Linda. And the Pierces, they'll help confirm everything. You'll be protected. I nodded slowly. But the part that hurt the most wasn't Cain. It was Jason. A week later, after multiple interviews and endless paperwork, I stood alone in the orchard as the sun set behind the apple trees. The air smelled like spring, like hope. Jason and Brooke had fled town the moment they learned the FBI was involved. They never said goodbye. They never apologized. The betrayal still stung, but I knew something Tom had always known. Family is built on love, not blood. And my life, my orchard, my peace, were mine again. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Tom. You tried your best to protect me." I finished it for both of us, and for the first time in years, I felt truly safe. Before I end my story, let me ask you something. How did this story make you feel if you stayed with me until the end? Comment 100. Tell me which country you're watching from, and please share this video so more people can hear stories like this.